Let's set up
You're
one
already
more.
having Tori.
Call the meeting to order, please. Salute to the flag. Pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Bo? Here. Mrs. Boyle?
Yes.
Mr. Farinella?
Here.
Mr. Giannakis?
Here.
Mrs. Miller?
Here.
Mr. Pender?
Here.
Mr. Sesselberg?
Here.
Mr. Cassio?
Here.
Mr. Panisi. In accordance with the terms of the Sunshine Law, adequate notice of this meeting was posted in all school buildings, the administration building, borough clerk's office, police headquarters, public library, 4 newspapers, and tapped into on June 25th, 2022. Please be advised there is no smoking on school grounds, inside or outside, at any time. Please silence all electronic devices, and pursuant to district policy number 0167, each statement made by a participant shall be limited to 3 minutes duration, and no participant may speak more than once on the same topic.
Thank you. We have comments on agenda items also only, and then public comments. I'm just going to combine them because we have no agenda item for you to comment on, so open up any public comments whatsoever. Okay, seeing none. The transaction for which the meeting was called is for the purpose of discussing legal matters and attorney-client privilege. Moving on to resolve pursuant to the Open Public Meeting Act that the board meets in closed session at this time to discuss confidential matters pertaining to attorney-client privilege and legal matters. Be it further resolved that the matters discussed in closed session shall be made public as soon as the need for confidentiality no longer exists. Action may be taken. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, we're going to accept. We're going to the room that we went last week. Back to order. Can I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Bo?
Here.
Mrs. Boyle?
Yes.
Mr. Farinella?
Here.
Mr. Giannakis?
Here.
Mrs. Miller?
Here.
Mr. Pender?
Here.
Mr. Sesselberg?
Here.
Mr. Cassio?
Here.
Mr. Panisi.
Here. I'm going to read a statement right now. After the statement, I'll have the attorney read a resolution that we will move and second, and then we'll vote on. Okay? Late last week, it was brought to our attention that board member Debbie Boyle, on her own without board approval, may have provided at least 20 pages of highly confidential documents to someone who was suing the Board of Education and Dr. Leshak. These documents appear to contain discussions regarding confidential personal matters and investigations, along with emails between Mrs. Boyle, former board president Mr. Chapman, and the board's own attorneys. This is extremely concerning to the board. If the allegations are true, Mrs. Boyle has no authority whatsoever to provide this documentation to anyone, particularly somebody who is suing the South Plainfield School District. This unexplainable and inexcusable conduct, in our opinion, would be the very definition of unethical conduct, and certainly undermines public trust with the cornerstone of the School Ethics Act. As a longstanding board member and past president of Middlesex County School Boards Associations and the board's current delegate to New Jersey School Boards Association, Mrs. Boyle, more than anyone else, would know her limits and ethical responsibility to keep this information confidential. While Mrs. Boyle has denied providing the documents, I do not believe that there's any other way that the documents could have been released other than by her. Despite being given out to Mrs. Boyle has yet given no plausible explanation for allegedly doing what she did. However, we can think of no reason that Mrs. Boyle might have done this other than to directly try to harm the board and its superintendent and help an individual suing the district. It is also noteworthy that the attorney of the person suing our school district was the one who actually brought this to the board attorney's attention, presumably recognizing that it raised a whole host of ethical concerns. In fact, that attorney said that his client received a package of documents from board member Debbie Boyle. That's a quote from his letter. The board as a whole believes that Mrs. Boyle's alleged conduct rises to such a troubling level that it's required an immediate response, which is why we had convened the special meeting this evening. Very shortly, the board will be voting on a resolution to appoint special legal counsel to investigate and potentially file an ethics complaint against Mrs. Boyle on behalf of myself as a named petitioner, as well as any interested board members and administrators who would like to join the case. We recognize that the board will be spending taxpayer dollars to pay for an attorney. However, the alleged action by Mrs. Boyle herself that has put us in this position. If the allegations are true, her actions expose the board to potential legal action, possible damage to unrelated lawsuit, and may result in additional legal fees due to providing highly confidential and sensitive documents. The board must preserve its integrity and protect its interests and support the district staff and administration. By law, Mrs. Boyle might be entitled to legal representation to defend our ethics complaint at board expense. However, we stress that the board will reserve all rights to recoup any legal fees expended to defend Mrs. Boyle in the event that the Ethics Commission finds that she took private action that arose outside of her performance of her board duties, which we certainly believe is the case here. Can you read the resolution, please, Mark?
Resolved that the Board of Education retains the law firm of Cleary, Giacobbe, Alfieri, Jacobs, LLC at the hourly rate of $185 an hour to file an ethics complaint against Deborah Boyle on behalf of the board for the reasons discussed during this evening's closed session, with Board President Panisi serving as the complainant, along with any other board members or administrators who wish to be signatories to the complaint.
Can I have a motion to add on?
Motion to add.
Second. Second. Discussion. Have a roll.
Discussion.
Okay.
I'll reiterate. We as a board took an oath. We signed an ethics form at the beginning of the year. We have a responsibility to uphold what we signed on for. We're responsible for the taxpayers' money. We're responsible for the children and the staff in this district. We have to protect our staff, the children, and the taxpayers' money. It is our duty to make sure that we follow through with this and investigate fully what transpired. So I hope, as a board, we agree that we need to do this as a whole. Thank you.
Any other?
Yes, I do.
Sure.
Okay, once again, accusations. This is not a court of law. I am glad that it's going to be investigated. Nothing was ever hand-delivered by myself to either one of the parties, one being the attorney, one being the person making the lawsuit.
Okay, very good. I just want to reiterate a couple of things for people out there might wondering, well, why are we doing this? The letter from the attorney, and I'm not going to use the plaintiff, directly has your name in it of hand delivering, which doesn't mean the person left it somewhere, which we received. In those 20 pages that we all just read, there were communications between you and former president, the attorneys. They are all copies that you had. One particular letter that was in there that this attorney had was also I don't want to make sure I don't say it right, was a letter that was only sent. It was just a letter that was only sent to Mrs. Boyle, and no member of the board had it. No one had it. Her and our attorney only had it, and it appeared in this packet too. Based on those things, I find it hard to believe that they just appeared at wherever. Based on those things, we're doing this investigation. Can I have a roll call?
Mr. Booth?
Yes.
Mrs. Boyle?
Abstain.
Mr. Farinella?
Yes.
Mr. Giannakis?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller?
This is to adding it, or
No?
This is
We already
this
did
is to,
that.
okay,
No, this is a roll call to
I'm
add.
sorry, okay, then add.
to add, okay, yes,
Add to the agenda.
yeah.
Mr. Pender?
Yes.
Mr. Sesselberg?
Yes.
Mr. Casio?
Yes.
Mr. Panisi?
Yes. Can I have a motion now on the
So
resolution?
moved.
Second.
Discussion? Bill?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that once again, we're expending funds for an investigation into repercussions of Mrs. Boyle's actions, and whatever the outcome of this or the other ones, I just believe that any funds would have been better allocated to classroom and staff needs within the district.
Any other comments?
Yep. Yes, and these type of accusations are not founded. They're accusations, okay? And this has been going on for 15 years. Constant accusations, constant money spending, and yes, it belongs in the classroom with the students. Agreed.
Now, Pio, I have to respond.
No, I was going to respond.
Okay, go ahead.
Again, I have to reiterate that these actions that are being done tonight are not the actions of us. They were initiated by a separate attorney in a lawsuit against us that had information and emails directly from you. However they got them there, you say you don't know, but you're the only one who had access. So that is the reason why we're doing this. That is the reason why we're spending funds. None of us want to spend funds, but at the same time, we have our responsibility to the rest of our employees and this district to uphold the Ethics Commission laws and the statutes and to find out if something happened.
Oh, that's what you're saying.
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
You want to talk about the last 15 years, Mrs. Boyle. You have filed ethics complaints. You have sued multiple board members. You have cost this board upwards of $18,000 to $20,000 in frivolous and ridiculous accusations that were all dismissed. So please don't discuss anybody else spending money. You have cost this board money, no one else. No one has done that but you. And now today, we've received this information that only has your email address on it, that only has documents that only you received, that this attorney said were hand-delivered by Mrs. Boyle. So we didn't do this, you did this, according to this attorney. According to this attorney. Now, maybe you will be exonerated, maybe, but these funds are being expended because of the accusation made against you by somebody completely outside of this board. So please, don't say that we are costing money. Every single thing has come down with your name on it. So please, look back in that mirror and see that.
Can I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Booth?
Yes.
Mrs. Boyle?
Yes. Abstain.
Mr. Farinella?
Yes.
Mr. Giannakis?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller?
Yes to hiring an attorney and doing an investigation.
That's not what the resolution reads exactly. Sorry. It's not exactly what the resolution reads. The resolution reads to file an ethics complaint, just so it's clear on what we're voting on.
The investigation will be concluded, obviously.
I'm sure the attorney will do some due diligence before filing the complaint, but the board's directive, unless something dramatically changes, is to file the complaint. I just want everybody to be clear on what we're voting on.
Mr.
Mrs. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Pender?
Yes.
Mr. Sesselberg?
Yes.
Mr. Cassio?
Yes.
Mr. Panisi?
Yes. Can I have a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Meeting is adjourned.